Hey guys, welcome to the Dawg House Podcast. On this week's show, we got Smooch from the Dawg Show as we talk about Georgia's position battles, quarterback, wide receiver, and running back for G Day, scheduled for Saturday, April 13th at 1 p.m. on ESPN Plus and SEC Plus. Also, we talk about what changes need to be made going forward for NIL and transfer portal. And the big question is, how much longer will Kirby Smart coach for the Georgia Bulldogs? Make sure to support the channel. It'd be really great. Smash the like button, comment, and subscribe. Got a great special guest, Smooch from the Dawg Show. Been following them recently on Apple Podcasts and also on Twitter, which is X now. How are you doing today, Smooch?
I'm doing great, Trey. How about yourself, brother?
Love it. Loving the nickname.
Yes, that has been with me since the first grade. I am almost 50 now, so
Okay.
going on 43 years with this nickname. So
That's awesome. Nicknames that stick are always great.
yeah,
Good. Well, it's spring ball is here. Hard to believe that we're already here in March, but got Georgia's G Day coming up,
hmm
April 13th at 1 p.m. I think it's ESPN Plus, and then also I think it's what's the other one? SEC Plus.
right.
So for all those non-traditional cable fans, Comcast cable or Spectrum or whatever it has, gotta try to find streaming. I know my mom's very traditional and she always gets annoyed when she can't watch it, so you gotta watch it on the replay. But
Yeah,
G Day coming up, April 13th, 2024. Check it out, 1 p.m. I think it's was it like $5, $10 ticket. It used to be free back in the day, but should be great. Hopefully, I
it's
think it's the
something like
same
that.
weekend as the Masters
Right.
in Augusta. So
Yeah, I attended last year. We had a great time. It was hot, and they were renovating half of the stadium, so everybody sat crowded on one side. The other side was empty.
right.
And but yeah, we went last year. That was kind of the Mackay Muse breakout
That's right.
game. He was all over the place that day. So good
And
times.
then unfortunately, he's no longer he transferred, so no longer with us.
Yeah.
So
And
looking
with Mackay, that's exactly what that portal's there for. He
yeah,
wasn't going to claw his way up that depth chart here at Georgia, but he showed his stuff, and he'll get to do it for somebody. So more
oh yeah,
power to him.
oh yeah, good for him.
hmm
So looking at I wanted to ask you some about the position matchups and what you would like to see. Of course, it's going to be great to see Carson Beck, Gunnar Stockton. Maybe we get to see Ryan Puglisi. Hopefully, I'm saying his name right at quarterback. But just wanted to see other position battles and who you'd like to look at or who you'd like to see. Looks like we got some guys banged up too from Kirby's press conference yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. I was going over that a little while ago. With the quarterbacks, there's two things I'm looking at. And first of all, Carson Beck is now firmly ensconced as the starter. Last time that happened, Dogs went undefeated and won a title. So I like that. Eager to see the progression of Gunner.
Hmm.
This is a pivotal year for him. Is he going to be a DGD in another year and a half, 2 years, or is he going to be playing somewhere else? And that has to do with that cat coming up behind him. So one of the guys that corresponds with us a good bit, affiliated with the athletic department at the University of Georgia, and he started telling us this would have been Ryan Puglisi's sophomore, junior year of high school. He's like,
Hmm.
"You've got to see this. They got him at 2 or 3 stars now, but you have got to see this kid sling the football." And and then he ends up committing as a 3-star. He ends up going up to 4. But this whole time, Dylan Raiola was committed to University of Georgia, and Puglisi never flinched. He said, "I can't wait to be in competition with him." And it turned out that Raiola was the guy that blinked first
Hmm.
and left. And so that room with Beck, Stockton, and Puglisi, that offers something at every level, something that's very intriguing for the future. So I'm eager to see that.
Yeah, definitely interested in the quarterback competition. I know they'll get to slinging around a pretty good bit. I know they air it out a lot more. Kind of want to
Mm-hmm.
see the running backs. Got a lot of talent, but a lot of young
Ooh.
guys. Do have Trevor Etienne. I always want to say Trevor Etienne,
Mm-hmm.
transfer from Florida. I know they were a little salty about that recently, but I think as he said recently, I want to come and play, try to make the playoffs. I want to play in
Mm-hmm.
December and not be on a 6-6, 5-7 Billy Napier, probably on the hot seat. So I completely understand. So that was a great pickup. Roderick Robinson, big kid.
Yeah.
Looked pretty good in the Orange Bowl. Don't think we're going to see Branson Robinson, but it was a good update at Kirby. Hopefully, he'll be
Mm-hmm.
ready in the spring. Got some of the, I think we got, I'm not sure which one are on campus. Got some of the true freshmen coming in out of the
Mm-hmm.
great recruiting class. So, yeah, the running backs, and then also wide receiver and tight ends. That's another one I'm interested in seeing.
Yeah, I think at running back, it's an embarrassment of riches right now. Etienne coming in. First of all, it couldn't happen to a better team than the Florida Gators.
Exactly.
Losing your best player. I'm not even going to say best running back. That's your best player. And he's a dog now. And you have to realize Chauncey Bowens was also a Florida commit, and now he's a Georgia freshman coming in this year. So just a little extra salt in the wound, which makes this, they call it a rivalry, but it's just been a whooping the last few years.
That's right.
But yeah, we are. I don't know how much you watch our show, but we are huge Cash Jones fans. I've been trying to get a Cash Jones jersey autographed for a season or two now. I'm going to figure it out this next year.
That's all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great story with him.
It is. It's so much fun. They list him at 180. I've seen the dude. He is 165 at the
Second
most.
wet.
Yeah, the absolute 180. He wouldn't be 180 with rocks in his pockets. But Nate Frazier is probably the most intriguing Dogs running back on paper coming out of high school since Chubb. Dwight Phillips' father was an Olympic sprinter, won the gold medal in the long jump and hurdles or something like that. And when you put all that together, and then you got Andrew Paul, right? Remember this time last year, we were hearing the breakout running back was Andrew Paul.
Right.
And then he was injured. And so, or 2 years ago, I should say. So all of those guys, that's going to be amazing to see how that sifts out in the end.
Yeah. And then I hated to hear, even though we're loaded at tight end, I hated to hear the Pierce Sperling news. I think it's congenitive heart issue, and they're gonna hold him out, and he's not gonna be able to return to the team. So, but I heard he'll be with the team, maybe in a supporting role, which is great. But I think we're loaded at tight end. Lawson Lucky, Oscar Delp, got some other guys coming in, some true freshmen. So I think we'll be okay there. Just unfortunate to kind of hear that.
Yeah, I got a couple of cryptic texts early yesterday morning. Said some bad news coming today at the tight end position. And I had forgotten. Now, I had heard when Pierce was a junior or senior in high school, I had heard that he had a lifelong heart condition. I completely put it out of my mind, but it's been something his family has monitored his whole life. And so last year he got the clearance to play when he came in, as he had every other year. And so he comes in this year and he's advised to never play again. And so, yeah, that's terrible. He's got a great family though. Should be able to take it well. And like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if he's coaching at Georgia in another few years. He's that kind of guy. Yeah. But yeah, you hate to say it. You kind of touched on it, and you hate to say it. Well, if there's any position we could take a hit at, this is it. Right. And that's really true. You know, Oscar looks great. Oscar's going to get, this is a hot take for you. Oscar's going to get pushed by Lucky this year. Yeah. You know, we assume Oscar has the measurables and is so fast. We assume he's the starter. Lawson Lucky's one of the best route runners we've had in a good while at the tight end position. Yeah. And so he's going to push hard. And then you got traditional tight end prospect and Colton Heinrich coming in. He's kind of a block first, but good hands type of guy. And then you've got uber athletic Jaden Riddell. Oh yeah, coming in, and that guy has a laser timed 4.4 at 240 pounds, 6'4", and so you know, it's just a matter of putting it all together. Kirby's system is very complex. There's a lot of responsibilities, but the physical stuff's all there for him. So,
yeah. Another guy I wanted to mention, he was added from the portal, though, Benjamin Yorosik, from Stanford. Got a lot of experience. I think he was a little banged up last year, but one of the previous years, I think he had almost 1,000 yards receiving, so added depth there.
Yeah,
I assume he's on campus, but he might be something to watch with experience.
Yeah, he won't be here for the spring.
Okay, gotcha.
He'll be here for the fall practices. Right. Yeah, with Benjamin, you know, we should have known. Kirby never does anything just to do it, and it seemed odd if you know the Dogs depth chart. Oh, yeah. Why are they bringing in another tight end? Well, that's because they already knew that something was going on with Pierce. And now it all makes sense. We just didn't see the handwriting on the wall. Something was up if they're bringing in another guy. So.
Oh, yeah. In Kirby we trust.
That's right. Absolutely. He has earned the benefit of the doubt, as we say.
Before we get into some really interesting questions I got for Smooch, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. 0 carbs, 0 sugar. Great for the golf course coming up, spring weather. Great for the pool. To get 20% off, it's Dawg House 20. Again, that's Dawg House 20 for 20% off. Check it out, VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Watermelon, elderberry, huckleberry. Watermelon's my favorite, but check out Tasty Beverage for the upcoming spring. But VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. And then one of the
I gotta try that huckleberry.
oh yeah, those are I'll be your huckleberry. That's right.
There you go. That's what
Hey, real good on the hangover too. Not too bad on the hangover, even though it's got tequila in it.
Okay.
So watched Late Kick with Josh Pate. A big fan of him, and they had Kirby. And this is a long-term question, and I know everything going on NIL and transfer portal, Nick Saban, and the way the coaching landscape and everything is how many, in your opinion, how many more years do you think Kirby Smart has to coach? The reason why I'm going this is kind of he hinted, I believe he's 47 or 48, and he kind of hinted he's in the midterm of his career. He's been there about to go on 9 seasons. How many more years with NIL and all the issues, and will he get burnt out? A lot of people have said might not be around for a long time. I don't really see him being an NFL guy just because of the other struggles. But in your opinion, maybe how many more years? Of course, it'd be great to have him 20 years, but realistically.
Yeah, a couple of things you hit on that were perfect. He's not going to the NFL. That's just not his thing because he coaches character. He's not a scheme guy. Josh Heupel could probably go to the NFL and scheme something up. Kirby's not about that. It's the culture that he builds. That's hard to do in the NFL, and so I don't think he's going to the NFL. Right now, I will tell you, just from people that are near Kirby, he feels like he works hard, but he doesn't feel like it's work. And, I heard someone compare it one time. If they told you had to play 36 holes of golf every day, you'd be like, okay, well, that's going to be exhausting, but that's what I love to do. And so, but on the other hand, is Kirby going to be coaching in his 70s like Nick Saban? Absolutely not. He'll be out. He'll be out before that. He's not going to miss grandchildren time.
Yeah.
And so I would say he's got two titles now. I would say it's watch the titles. I would say if he ends up with 5 or 6 titles, I think at that point it could be any year. It just depends because he wants to win. He wants to win the championships and he wants to leave. When Saban left Alabama, it was better than when he took over, but they had a huge drop off. Kirby sees that. Kirby wants the team to be able to function with or without him. That's his style of leadership. That's the reason he's always trying to develop others. And so I think Kirby would try and get the Dogs to the point where coaches and players and recruiting were all in place for his retirement. And so I would keep an eye on the championships. If he wins another 2 in a row, I would say we could be in the final 5 years of his career, at that point. Right. But it's that he's going to leave his mark championship wise. I'll tell you this: he's not going anywhere. He is a dog. He is a dog. He's gonna be. That'll be the last game he coaches. Will be at Sanford Stadium or a playoff game.
I do like that follow the championships. I think we'd be lucky getting maybe just the way everything is 8 to 10 years, but could be even more. But I do like him being long term. Georgia guy. I think this is home. Kind of like when he said at 93K Day, I'm home,
Yeah.
So
that's exactly right.
I agree with that. And then transitioning into that, because we mentioned earlier, if you were the president or had the pen, as they say, to make changes with all the issues with NIL and transfer portal, what do you think needs to change? And I think I even saw or read where Nick Saban was he with Congress?
He's testifying for Congress.
Testifying like that, telling what needs to be done on NIL. So and then what do you actually agree with and you like and dislike with current college football?
Yeah. First of all, anyone that's an adult, which means over the age of 18, deserves to be able to make money on their name, image, and likeness. It's silly that at one point you could not. So I am all for that. But what they've done is typical of the NCAA. You create one problem and you just fix it with a more corrupt problem. That's just oh, this is corrupt, so let's get more corrupt in the opposite direction. And that's kind of their ebb and flow over and over. I am thinking the solution to this is going to be a simple one, right? We're going to get complex. I guarantee you they're going to come up with some sort of convoluted tier system to try and control NIL. But one of the simplest solutions, Troop and I, we escape quarterly, head out to the woods camping for a few days and just talk about show ideas. And one of the things we came up with and discussed is, what if every time you transfer, you're ineligible for NIL for 1 year? So you transfer, no NIL that next season. That is you're not going to see the guys that transfer 3 and 4 times or even 2 and 3 times in college. It will be, they can transfer and play, but they cannot transfer and be eligible for NIL. And that cuts that right there. And then you're right back to team loyalty and things like that. So I think there needs to be something in place to where you're rewarded for honoring your commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And so the system needs to be kind of flowing in that way. Right now, it rewards the most selfish, right? The ones that are the most and honestly, the ones that are the most toxic, right? The highest paid NIL guys are usually right now, they're your team killers. And so we've got to figure a way to incentivize loyalty, as well as these kids going out there and making money for their talent and their name, image, and likeness, which is completely legitimate. So the simplest thing I would think of is either your first year, you're eligible for a certain amount of NIL and it's capped. After your second year with the university, there's no longer a cap. If you transfer, you sit out 1 year of NIL, though your eligibility continues. And I think that it's going to be something simple like that kind of pulls it in and makes it make something that we recognize, because right now it's just the Wild West, right?
I like that. Completely agree with that. I think maybe something like a 2-year, like you have to come for at least 2 years, and people like I want to bring him up just because he was a DGD. It's like JT Daniels, for example. I think he was on 4 teams. Another guy, 3 teams. I think Max Johnson's on his 3rd, for example, with like North Carolina. I think there needs to be some stipulation or some rules on that.
Right.
And then on the NIL front, I think that would help a lot of things. I know it's Wild Wild West. No one actually knows what the kids are getting. Something like there's like a 2-year agreement, for example. You have to stay with that team for like 2 years. If you leave, no NIL money.
Yeah.
So it'll make it more of, even though it's more business terms, like a contract. And if you leave, or maybe put a stipulation like you can't just this whole like I'm not getting any playing time, kind of like Nick Saban was saying. The kids were coming in right away. Hey, how much am I going to get? What am I going to? What kind of playing time? I'm out, because a lot of these kids are looking like, what's the highest dollar? Which you can't blame them. But hey, a team might say, hey, I'll give you 500 grand coming here, but you can play a lot more. Go to the NFL for 250. Well, I'm going for 500. It's kind of like whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just had Mason Short, 4-star, highly ranked offensive lineman, and he says he explained it as a sugar on top. But I'm not going to a certain school just because of the NIL, which is good. I'm going for playing time, connection with the coach, relationships that way, which I enjoyed to hear that.
Yeah,
so just wanted to, yeah.
I agree. That's good. Why don't they let us fix it? It'd be done by now.
I do also think, I don't know if is maybe having a president or commissioner like Roger Goodell. I mean, I don't know if a lot of people like a Nick Saban being the voice of football. If everything could come in, all the conferences together, and maybe make some rules and regulations about it, he can kind of oversee it, because he was there, 7 national titles. He can move the needle because he's got a lot of voice out there. So I think like a Nick Saban or someone higher up, they could be a president or something like that.
Well, what I was told, I'm not very close to the Alabama team, but I do live in Alabama. And what I was told by some of my guys here that are close with the Alabama team is that really is something Saban sees himself doing. He really does want to go, and whether he's named commissioner or whatever it is, he wants to use his platform for positive change in that area. And so he seems to be, I mean, he's already in Washington doing his thing. So, hopefully we can see something positive come out of it in the next few years.
Right. I agree. And then speaking of that, just because it was, I guess, on his Instagram. So first off, love Carson back, waited his turn, looked great. He's going to do great things. But with the whole NIL thing, I know he had the what was it?
The Lambo.
The Lambo, which I think probably if you look between the lines might have been leased, but
Yeah.
most recently showed him on the shopping spree. I think it showed him in a private jet, had a bling bling watch. All that's great, but if you're Kirby and trying to keep the locker room and the culture together, can we maybe say, hey, don't kind of make it so flashy and post it everywhere, just because a lot of the guys are probably watching and like, hey, where's my piece at? And it kind of just hypes up the whole NIL. I know what's going on, but maybe do you like seeing that? I know it's kid prerogative, it's social media, but
Well, I think,
just coming from like a Kirby Smart culture thing, do
yeah.
you like them doing that?
Well, Kirby's answer will be, well, when you've put in 4 years here, you can take a picture on a private jet too. That's
Okay,
that's kind of what he would tell a younger player. It's like you don't get the juice without the squeeze, and he doesn't. I'm sure he would have rather him handle it a different way. But he does give his veteran leaders a little more leeway to enjoy the fruits of their labor because they've put in the labor. Where he's not going to tolerate it is some freshman kid coming in and making demands or that type of thing. That's not the way it works. And their system, you have a very basic NIL deal. Elite recruits get a little bit more, and it's prorated out for it grows exponentially the longer they're at UGA. But and until you get to where once you're ensconced as a starter and you're there for your college, your last college year, it's a very nice package. But those guys have a lot of blood and sweat and vomit on their uniforms, earning all of that. And so if it bothered him, he would have handled it privately. He would not have handled it privately had it been one of these 19-year-olds on the team. He'd have handled it a lot different.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree. He earned the right. I just kind of looking more of from a culture and from Georgia perspective.
Yeah, I agree. It's not what you want to see. It's you want, I want to see them holding up that trophy at the end of the year. I don't really care about what the watch on their arm is.
Exactly.
The titles.
Exactly.
And when you think about your Jordan Davis and your N'Kobe Dean, you didn't see that type of thing. And so that's the kind of tradition you want to see continue with your leaders.
Oh, yeah, completely agree. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on today, Smooch. How do we follow the Dawg House Show on social media?
Yeah, so the Dawg Show Pod on everything on TikTok, which is we do really well on TikTok for some reason, but the Dawg Show Pod on Twitter or X, the Dawg Show Pod on TikTok, and the Dawg Show Pod on YouTube, which we're getting new people on our YouTube channel right now. So I don't know when the last time it was updated because they were switching something. But anyway, you can follow us on all. If you go to the Dawg Show with Troop and Smooch, you can find us on all major podcast platforms, whether that's Apple, Spotify, Spreaker, I don't know, all the other ones. We're on those as well. So that's how you can find us. And like I say, do us both a favor, both these shows, leave us a review. That's how we get pushed up in the algorithms and seen and heard by more. And usually if you love us, you come over to Twitter, and if you hate us, you go over to TikTok. That's kind of how it works. We love the haters too. They're fun.
Yeah, make sure and check them out on TikTok, DawgShowPod, on Twitter, which is X, and then also Apple Podcast, and also check them out on YouTube, like you mentioned. That'd be great.
Yeah,
give them a follow, like, comment, all those great things.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, brother. I appreciate
it. Yeah, appreciate it, Smooch. And if everyone's still around, make sure to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. And we'll have other episodes coming up, talking some spring ball.
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.